This time on Captain Chaos' laboratory, we're working on the Junior Flight School from Lemax. So, here we go. So we have lift, lights, and sound. We have no rotation. Which is good about the lift part because that's what this makes it turn off. See the click? It has a reset point. And a reset point is based on the lift and lower, not the spin. So at least this piece will turn off by itself. Whereas if it was the opposite, one, it'd scrape the deck, and two, it would never turn off. You'd have to unplug it. Alright, so most of these you have to remove this center section. There's usually a screw right in the middle that holds it all together. There's also screws on the bottom. So if this is similar to the other ones, I'm going to take a look real quick and see. It does lift. Maybe we can do it without taking the center. I doubt it. But let's try it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws on the bottom. And they're covered by rubber feet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5. And technically 5.5. 1 torn in half. Oh, this would be easier to line up. Let's take out the screws now. One, 2, 3, 4. Five, and last but not least, number 6. So, no, just like I figured, it won't come off because we have to pop this center piece off, which is usually glued on. Let's see how good the glue is. Sounds like it's coming off. You can see some of the glue right there. Spudger's too thick. Screwdriver's not. So there's the screws that hold it together. So this is assembled just like the Zombie School and a few of the other ones that have the lift and rotate, the Octo Ride or whatever it's called. I can never remember their names unless they're predominantly one that breaks. Get that little screw at the bottom. That's the one we need. You can put these other 3 back in. These 3 are what holds the arms. So we don't want these to come out because then we have to reposition all the arms. And then the spacer or the screw fell inside. So we'll set this out of the way. Wow. Now this should lift off. We're not lifting it over the center hub. Here we go. Get the bottom out of the way. Alright, so there's your bottom. You have a long circuit board around for the lights. That's just the landing lights. There's your main board right there, and another distribution board there. And that board has your sound chip on it, which is your amplifier chip. Now we need to remove this center, where the two motors and gearbox are. See if we have a bad belt, or a bad motor, bad gear, or any combination of above. So the screw. So there's the big screw that fell inside. And we'll twist this out the back. That's absolutely disgusting. Look at that. That's ground down plastic. This actually has a big old groove in it from wearing down. Something was going wrong with this piece. So what's happened is, that's the spacer. It's fine. If you look, you can see how it's all white? This thing's been grinding, literally, where it's been pushing so hard that it's eaten itself up and eaten up this disc, or this wavy waffle disc. It's all going to have to be cleaned and relubricated, but that's crazy. Look at that. Look at that groove. It'll still work, but it just won't lift as high. All right. Now we're going to turn it on and see what's going on in here. This one's not turning. I feel no tension on it. You'll see this micro switch released, and once this one engages, it turns it off. Done. So let's see if we're getting power to this motor. It's going to be this one right here. DC. No power. We're getting no juice to the motor. Looks like somebody may have tried to repair this once before, because this glue is clear. It's not yellowed. We'll do is I'm going to plug this in here and see if the motor turns. Nope, and we lost the lights, which indicates that this is a bad motor. Plug this one back in. The lights flashed, they didn't stay on. So it could be a shorted motor. Now we have power. Before we had millivolts, now we have real volts. So we got a bad motor. This is very, very common. So now we need to replace the motor. Do I have any more new ones laying out, or do I have to open a new package? I'm gonna have to open a new package. So, new motor. Get the soldering iron going. Everything's also slimy because of the excessive amount of grease they use. So that's another issue. So the motor is a an SRF 300 CA motor, 11,400 RPM. It's the standard motor. So got my soldering iron warmed up. Some solder these bad boys, and we'll plug it in and verify everything's good. This motor should start to spin when that one goes all the way over. It's spinning. Sometimes you can get the motor out without taking the whole top off. I'm going to see if we can do that with this one. So we're going to take out the screws, pop off the pulley. So this screw doesn't want to come out. It's just spinning like the motor stripped. Come on. There we go. So is the motor hole stripped or is the screw stripped? Screw is definitely damaged. Let's see how it fits in the new motor. And nope, you have to remove some of these screws to hold it in, or that hold it in, because there's not enough deflection on the plastic. So we'll remove that one and this one. And I can lift it and pull this out. And it's covered in grease, just normal. Clean off the excessive amounts of grease. So slide this guy in like so. That. And let's see if this screw works in this motor. Is it this one? No, this one's the good screw. Yeah, this is the one that's got a damaged thread. It's got 2 threads and it's missing a thread, and it's got the rest of the threads are there. So it should technically still grab. We're going to find out. If not, I'll look for some screws real quick. That did grab. There we go. Put the pulley on. Make sure the height is right. It's good. Let's get these 2 screws back in and test it. I'm curious if anything got damaged while it was in here. Because it felt like that motor was pulsating, but it's hard to tell because I'm just feeling it with my fingers. The gear popped up. Let it reset. Perfect. Alright, make sure it stays down. There's nothing holding this ring gear in except for gravity. So the motor is spinning, but it's not turning the gearbox. You see, by doing that, it went all the way around. So there's something wrong with this gearbox. So we are going to have to take it apart. The belt's not spinning. I thought maybe the belt might be slipping. The belt's pliable, but you never know. Nothing. Not turning. Turning. You don't have good power. Yeah, there's like no... That's what I thought when I was feeling it. It felt like it was weak. It's running at half voltage. Should be running at 4.5, not 2. So we have a power problem. So the gearbox isn't the problem. It's not rotating the gearbox, it's not strong enough. And the gears are turning. They do not appear to be cracked or damaged. Everything's turning. So that's a positive. And it's turning the big gear that's underneath. That's the big gear that rotates the center hub. Alright, so this motor is right here. Which is this guy. So we got a capacitor, diode, transistor, circuit may have gotten damaged from this grinding, where it's been grinding into that disc and overheated some of these components to where they're no longer functioning right. So I'm getting 1.9, 1.8 volts under a load. Let's disconnect the load and see what I'm getting. The load being the motor. I unplugged the speaker so there's no more sound. That was that wire I unplugged right there. Also says SP1, or no, it says the SP. So without a load, I'm getting 4.17, which is a lot closer to what I should be getting. With a load, I'm not. With a load, it's dropping. So we'll plug the load back in. That's not spinning very fast. Now I'm at 1.8 again. Maybe I got a defective motor. So, this motor I know is good. This one I've used for lots of tests. That's why it's got the flag on it for testing power. So, let's try this guy. I could solder it to another plug, which actually might be a good idea. I have another one of those plugs. I just put it on my shelf of parts. Let me grab it real fast. instead of trying to hold it against those pins, just solder a plug on this bad boy. Make life way easier. So on here, the hot is on the right, on the left. So the left one is the big dots, and the small one is the negative. What I want to do, just so they don't smack each other and cause a problem, is I'm going to put a piece of heat shrink, if I can find a piece. Is that big enough? Barely. I'm going to put a piece of heat shrink over the positive so it doesn't smack anything and create a short. I'm not going to heat shrink it though, I'm just going to slide it over as a protector. And I'll plug this back in and give it some juice. And then we're going to check the so it's spinning, but it does not have a lot of power. So I'm sure it's the 1.8 volts again. What the heck? There we go. Oh, 2.6, 2.7. So let's unplug it and see if it goes back up to 4. Yeah. So I have a problem with the circuit itself. There's something wrong with the circuit. Somewhere on the board something is damaged. A component, possibly. If I can't find the component that's damaged or fix it and or replace it, there's another way to make it work. You can actually take these wires and stick it right on the switch power. The only disadvantage to doing that is that means it's going to spin and slide across the surface of the deck. But that's cheaper than trying to replace it. So first things, let me try and fix the circuit board, or try and find out what circuit on the circuit board is bad, what component. Because as you can tell, there's a lot of them on there. But the track that is, because there is power on that board, so if I touch it, it doesn't short out. The track that is bad is somewhere in here. It's this right here. And we have a capacitor, a diode, and a transistor before we get to these guys here, which is resistors. And then that all goes around over to these transistors. And then it goes off the blob chip. So I'm going to trace the power through that circuit and see where I'm losing power. It could be the transistor. It could be the diode. The capacitor might be shorted and it's not working right. This capacitor is a smoothing capacitor. It's supposed to keep the noise out of the circuit. That's why both the motors have one right here, these itty bitty guys. Let's zoom in actually. So it's this circuit here. These two pins are the motor that's not working right. And then this is a capacitor. This is a diode. That's a transistor. Follow the circuit off the transistor. I have one leg that goes over to this resistor. The other leg goes to the diode on the top, this resistor on the bottom, and this other one goes to this capacitor right here, which then goes all the way around this track to the incoming power. So this is the power rail on the outer edge. It's the ground, actually. So that's the ground. So it's got two capacitors on the motor circuit. So something in this area might be bad, or so from here over, or the signal coming out is weak. One of these tracks is damaged, or one of these other small discrete components are damaged. So I'm going to sit in here and probe it for a while, see what I can find. This motor isn't as much of a draw as that motor, but this is a slower motor. That motor is 11,000 RPM, so it's got a little bit more draw. This is only 8,800, so this thing is 3,000 RPM slower, this one here. Sorry, I forgot I zoomed in. So this guy has more power going to it because it's a lower consuming motor, but it's also a long shaft motor. So that's one of the problems with this motor. That's why I use these motors for testing, because they draw less power, and I don't have much of a use for them because they're long shafts, and I have like 4. So, this motor, being 11,000, draws a little more power, and then, well, that's why I'm getting a lower voltage, because it needs more power, and this can't give it the power. Something is degrading the circuit. So it's a tedious process. Sometimes it's repairable, sometimes it's not. But basically I got to sit here and probe each one of the legs and see where my power drop is. Then if I find the power drop, then I got to find these itty bitty little components to replace it with, which is so much fun. But then again, the other option is just soldering to the incoming switch, either right there or off the board. Right there meaning on the board where it attaches, which is right here, which would be right here on the bottom, these 5 pins. And that way, as soon as you flip that on, the lights turn on, the music turns on, but they start spinning before they lift. And I have done that before, where it was too expensive to fix the board. The board was actually black and burnt on one of the zombie school ones. And they said, if you can just make it spin. So we made it spin, and what I did was I put a spacer in here, like this has the spacer there. I put another one in to help lift it so it didn't rub as much. And that might be the only choice to make this work. This does rub. You can see the scrape marks. If you look closely, you'll see them right there. It looks like a dotted line on the inside of the dotted line. So this one's going to take a little bit of work. But first things first, I got to diagnose this guy. See if it's salvageable or repairable, and then go from there. If it's not, I'll just hot wire it in. We'll see about lifting the center section so that way the characters aren't scraping the deck as much. Then we got to fix this piece. I might have a replacement, and because I do have another one similar to this, the other one, the Zombie Flight School. I have a parts one that the circuit board got smoked, like I was telling you, or it's all burnt. But this one's not burnt. It's just the blob chip's bad, so it fried the speaker. But I might be able to work some magic and make it do its thing. So I'm going to do some testing, see what I can do, and see if we can get this one fixed. It did need a motor. The other motor was completely shot. When it did try and turn, it turned horribly, and it's full of grease. So, and it probably had that broken thread stuck inside the windings from the screw. Broken threads and electric motors, not so good. But let's see what we can do. Let's see if I can salvage this to make it function, or make it function almost the way it's supposed to be, since we do have light, sound, and lift. Let's see if we can get this rotation taken care of. I will do it by any means necessary that makes it work without putting excessive strain on the remaining circuit of the board or can possibly damage something in the process. And I also need to figure out why this is as bad as it is. As many of these things as I've taken apart, I've never seen one grind itself down. I mean, look at that. It is just ground down. That is bad. I've seen the wear on this, not this bad. I've seen the wear where it turns white, but I mean, look at the flat spots. Look at that. It's almost like somebody was like pushing, and then it just ground itself apart. And I have no idea how that happened. That is crazy. Even if it was dry, meaning no lubrication, it shouldn't do that. And this has got lubrication because that's what all that plastic is stuck to. It's stuck to the grease. Unless the grease just got really hard. I mean, no, it's still sticky. It's sticky. That might be part of the problem. But that's a lot of pressure to grind into the plastic, or it's a lot of use. Maybe less pressure. Maybe it's just been used for 10,000 hours, which I highly doubt because it's Lemax. So, but regardless, let's see what we can do to fix this. That way we can get back to this person. Person drove up and met me from southern Arizona. I'm up in northern Arizona area. Phoenix, which is classified as northern Arizona. And because the state's just separated. South and north, there's no central for the most part. So, see what we can do. And I shall return with a result, or what we're going to do with the result that I find. So I'll be back here in just a few. Okay, I'm back. I traced all the circuits and found it is a bad component on the board. I do not have one, and I checked around online, and they're all telling me 4 to 6 weeks to get it, which is obnoxiously long to get a little diode. The diode's burned out. So I started tracing the other circuits on here. And there's a circuit right here that isn't used. But it's hooked up to the same mechanism and switch, and I'll show you. So power. And try and do this without arcing it. Hopefully you can read that. So from ground to this circuit, 5 volts, or 4.5 volts. And if I go back to the actual motor, touch it. There you go. I get the 4.5 volts free float because there's no load. And when I kill the power, gears going back, click. Okay, that's weird. It's been working, and now it's not working because the camera's on. Oh, I didn't click it off. Ha! So, click. It turns everything off like it's supposed to. So on, let it go back over, engage, good to go. And then, actually, this time I'll click the switch off. And it stops spinning. So, yay. I did go dig out my other piece. Here's the other one. It's got a groove, but it's not near as bad compared to this one over here. Zombie Flight School, Junior Flight School. Same piece, different color. Don't know why, but it's the same exact thing. So I'm going to clean them both up and see which one's actually better. So I'm just going to use a rag and some rubbing alcohol. So we'll go from there. But for as far as the motor goes, I think it burned out because there was grease on this board from all this grease and hair. So I'm going to clean some of that up too. But this, I'll zoom in. Where did my zoom? Going down. Schwink. That diode right there is bad. I was looking to see if I had anything I could just solder across it, remove it and solder across. I don't have anything that is the same as it's a rectifier diode. So I don't have anything in my arsenal of stuff to make it work. So that's why I started just tracing the circuits, and that's taken me some time. I'm not going to lie. It's not like it's been 5 minutes. It's been close to 3 hours. Now, granted, for the full 3 hours was not spent tracing these circuits. I did go outside and clean up a little bit because I had a tow truck show up. So probably a good hour and a half just on this circuit to trace all these to find what is on the switch, what will give me the 4.5 volts under a load, and what won't cause the lights to go dim, the system not to reset. Because the important part is the first circuit I put on, these inner lights quit working because it was too much a load, because it was sharing the light circuit. The light circuit's 4.5 volts too. Then it goes through the resistors, which are on the back of this. Touched it. Try not to. So they're integrated on those boards. So, whoops, got the wire touching it now too. So going back and forth, there's a second relay circuit on this thing. And I found a lot of it that has power when the power switch is off, because it always has to have power going to certain things. But that's another relay, one of those. And that relay, I don't know why it's only got 2 pins drilled. It's also, sorry, it's a capacitor, not a relay. I don't know what it's for. And I don't know why I said relay, that's weird. But it's for a big capacitor, a big blocky capacitor. Tracing the circuit all the way through, it has a small capacitor right next to it, itty bitty guy right there. So it was a change, or it's for a different circuit, for a different piece. But that capacitor is on the switch circuit, and it gets the full 4.5 volt load, or this power from Lemax puts out almost 6 volts free float, meaning when it's off, I'm getting close to 6 volts. When the unit is off at the switch, there's still power on this circuit board for 2 reasons. The power comes in right here, and then this red jumper wire goes over and energizes this relay so it's ready to go. The relay has to be energized before the switch part engages. Then it goes to this switch. But before it goes to this switch on this circuit diagram or board, it also goes through all these capacitors and turns on the power to the sound chip and signals the blob chip that we're just in wait or rest mode. So this board has constant power, which most of them do. The switch doesn't kill everything, it kills the major functions. So it's very important that if you have to rewire a motor because part of your board has been damaged, you can trace the circuits if you want to do it and find a new place. And it will take time, and it does require a little bit of knowledge. A new person that's never done electronics or electricity may have an issue, because you definitely don't want to stick the probes between the two and create a dead short. On the incoming power, it just causes the power supply to get hot for a second if you hold it there for long enough. But if you do it somewhere over here, you can fry the sound chip or the control chip or the blob chip. So you got to be careful. But it can be done. Just make sure you have points on your voltmeter. Use a multimeter too. That's what that is, because I used the multimeter to test the diode and found out the diode's bad. The diode has bleed through in the wrong direction past its threshold, and it's supposed to drop 1 volt according to the manufacturer spec. 1 volt plus or minus 10%, so maximum 1.1 volts. It is dropping to, well, because it's free float, 2.7, which is way over spec. All components have a voltage drop. It's just loss of energy, and that is 2.5 times over its spec, and that is why we're having issues. I can only find them on eBay and like Alibaba or AliExpress, and they all list a 4 to 6 week time frame. It's like, wow, it's a little long, but I don't want to wait that long, and I don't think the person who owns it wants to wait that long. So that's why I started tracing the rest of the circuits and found another switch circuit that is not being used on this particular board. So good for that. Can't guarantee it on all of them, so it's just one of those things. So the next step, put the board back down, glue all the wires back down. Actually, I'm going to clean all the grease first. Glue all the wires back down, and then clean those up, see which one works better. Re-lubricate the parts that need to be lubricated, not excessively, and then put the top back on. So that's where we're at. All this is lubricated great. Oh, and just because I had it, these are 2 new belts. I replaced the old belts. This one was really bad. When I got it working with no load, it was slipping. And I'm like, yeah, I got to replace it. So I replaced both of them at the same time just because they're both here. And once this is back together, it's a pain in the ass to take apart because you have to break the glue free on that top piece right here. And when you put it together, I'm going to use hot glue, so if it ever has to come apart again, it's a little easier to do. So, but anyhow, I'll be back in just a few moments after I clean all this up and make it nice and clean and shiny. I'm going to see which one of these 2 will work better. Possibly that one because the groove isn't as deep. And then we're going to do a test run. I do have a funny feeling that it is going to scrape up the runway a little bit because the delay is not as long as if it was on the correct circuit, but there is a slight delay. We're going to find out. And that's why we're going to do a test. It's all trial and error when we're trying to modify something to work again. All right, I'm done with my rambling. I'll be back in just a moment. All right, it's back together, mostly. I cleaned off both lifting discs. The grooves are about the same, actually. So I just cleaned it off, lubricated it, put it back in. I use a PFTE PTFE Super Lube. You can get these from happyholidayparts.com. You get like a 5-pack or a 10-pack for $12 or something like that. So I didn't put this one in. I put the blue one back in once I cleaned it and re-lubricated it. It does scrape a little. I tried doing a spacer. Spacer didn't help because the problem is the gear that turns it on and off fits inside here. And you can see that that's got a little arc to it. Yeah, slowly. That's what lifts this on those pins. So if you pre-lift this, it can lift it so high that it actually tries to hit the inside of the top. So the only way to shim it or to make it higher would be to do it on each one of the 6 arms. And if those weren't ground down as much as they are, because the other one isn't, this part is, but the arms for the Zombie Flight School, they're not ground down as much. If it was the same piece, I might switch them out, but it's not because these are kids, not zombies. So let me show you how it works, and then we'll hot glue this back on. I guess you might want some volume. So the lights. Turn it off. So it rubs for a couple seconds in each direction. Because this is going into a display here faster than I'm going to get the parts, it's going to have to be like this for now. It only rubs a little. There are some mitigating things we might try on it. I'm going to try and find some felt and put some felt on the bottom of these where they touch so that they slide. I don't know where my felt went, so I'm going to keep looking. But that's an option, and I'm going to try that too. And I'm probably going to go double check when I'm done putting this on. So, and again, I don't use hard glue so this can come back off because you saw what's inside. You got a stack of gears on both sides, the lift and the spin. 2 motors, 2 belts, and if you need to repair any of these LEDs, you still need to disassemble this whole thing. There's nothing you can do about it. You can take the screws out of the bottom, but without that big one in the middle, it doesn't make a difference. So this piece to make it work, needed a motor. So we replaced the motor. Needed 2 belts. Well, one was bad, one was going bad, so 2 belts. So motor and 2 belts. And then bypassing the damaged circuit, which luckily, because of the circuit board that's in here, it has a switched circuit, which I was able to use, so this thing can actually work like it's supposed to. So you don't always get that lucky. Almost warm. As long as the glue doesn't go down the center where the screw is, that's the part that spins, you're fine. If you are going to use a hard glue, super glue, resin type glue, anything, don't get it on the screw heads of the 4 screws that are underneath this cap. There you go. Touchdown, touchdown, stop. All right. If I don't find any felt, or if I do and I get this, I'll add an addendum. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. Till the next repair. Have a good one. All right, so I do have an addendum. I went and looked through my stuff for my Cricut, and I have this stuff I bought from Michael's when it was on clearance a couple years back. It's like 5 cents a sheet. One side's stony, one side's smooth. I was trying to use this to make little cobblestone walkways in my village, but it collects a lot of dust and hair. So anyway, I cut off a strip and then cut the strips into small rectangles, and then found where these things are touching and glued them on with some hot glue from right here. And then I trimmed them to the size. On the elephants, it's the feet, the front foot that do it. And on the 3 airplanes, it's one of the props. Now, on one of the elephants, the heavier elephant, which is the pink one, because of course she has to have a balloon. No, I'm just kidding. It's so heavy that the bar actually rubs too. So there's a pad on the foot and a pad on the bar. But it's the same with one of the airplanes. One of the airplanes is cocked a little bit on the bar, and the bar rubs as well as the propeller. So here's what it sounds like. See how quiet that was for the liftoff? And here's the landing. And you may do this to your normal one, because the normal ones scrape too. They don't scrape as much as this one did after the reset, because it's supposed to turn off the rotating motor first. Now they turn on and off at the same time. But that's an option. And just do it like this. And all you do is lift these up and then work on them one at a time. And if for some reason you don't want to deal with the ones on the signpost, turn it on again. They don't always land in the same spot. Or if the light poles are in the way. If you can't get around the light pole, turn it on, turn it off, and again, they'll reposition themselves. So, as a little addendum, I don't have the true felt, but I do have this soft material that I was able to use a piece of. And I'll tell you, if you do use this in your Cricut, make sure it's stuck onto your mat, your fabric mat, which is pink, really well. Because if not, it will peel up and get caught in the damn thing. Pain in the ass. But it does work. I learned the hard way once, as you can tell. So, they still have this stuff at Michael's, but they don't have it for the nickel a sheet anymore. Now it's like 60 or 70 cents. They were clearing out all of this a couple years back, and now it's back in stock. But yeah, I've even used these on the bottom of my houses when I remove the foam, because it's textured. So I can stick it on and have it upside down, or I can put it on this way and make it stick out past, so it kind of looks like mud. It was before I was introduced to people like Carl at Halloween Vigils by Carl, or I think it's Kay's Crafts, the people online who do the vignettes and displays. So I'm not really good at them. I can fix things, and I can design things, but sometimes I can't make them look pretty. So I need somebody else's assistance. So sometimes look for shortcuts, and they don't always work. But anyhow, so there you go. A new, smoother, quieter takeoff and landing, and repaired. So until the next one, again, thanks for watching.